Good morning, guys. Welcome to AWS class. Today's topic we will be discussing about EC2. So, I was just revising myself what we have spoken on yesterday's class. We have seen how do we launch an EC2 instance and how do we connect to an EC2 instance, right? There are certain steps to follow while creating an EC2 instance. One is first step we have to choose an AMI image and then select instance type and select all the prerequisites like in which VPC you are trying to launch and what is the availability zone you are trying to launch. And third, create storage EBS volumes, attach it to that instance. And fourth, create security group. And fifth, create key pair for connecting it to the EC2 instance. This is what we did, right? Now, talking much about EBS, the volumes that we have attached to that our EC2 instance. EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage. Okay, this is the block storage. We attach it to EC2 instances as volumes. Okay, it's like an hard disk. On this EBS storage, okay, on this EBS storage that we attach to our instances, there are three types of volumes. Okay, one is magnetic, second is general purpose, third is provisioned IOPS. Okay, there are three types of different EBS volumes. One is magnetic, general purpose volume, and provisioned IOPS. The basic difference between these three is on our very first recent classes, when we are talking about storage part, I have told you there are two types of storage devices, right? What is that? HDD, hard disk drive, and solid state drive. Hard disk drive is nothing but that you can see on your computers, desktops, okay, the hard disk where you'll have spin disk on the inside the hard disk. It will rotate. You'll have a spinning needle and it will rotate. Let me show you the picture. This is what, right? You'll have a disk and you'll have a needle which is rotating on the disk for writing and writing. So on this HDD there are some disadvantages. The maximum read and write speed that you can write on HDD is 10 MB per second. On SSD it's like 1 GB per second. 1 GB per second, or sorry, 100 MB per second, I think. 10 times faster than normal HDD. SSD, the data will be stored on these chips. Okay. Now Amazon is giving this HDD under magnetic volumes, and the other two are SSD volumes. Again, on SSD volumes, he has two types: general purpose volumes and provision purpose volumes, right? So what is the difference between these two is, so how Amazon is providing these EC2 instances, He's creating the VMs on the physical box. Assume that I'll write a diagram for you. You are having the physical box. On that, Amazon has installed some hypervisor and is creating the VMs, and is giving these VMs as instances to us, to the customers, right? It means that the physical box resources are shared by these VMs. On resources, you'll have the hard disk also. Assume that we are having an hard disk called SSD type, SSD hard disk. Now it is being shared by all the VMs that are launched on this physical box. Now, if this entire SSD IOPRATE, IOP stands for input and output per second. Okay, so every hard disk or SSD volumes will have the IOP rate. IOP rate is nothing but the maximum rate that can read and that can write on your SSD volumes, are nothing but IOPS rate. So there are n number of VMs that are sharing the same SSD volumes in this scenario, right? Now this SSD volumes IOP rate will be automatically shared with all the VMs. Assume that now VM want high IOP rate, SSD will give the high IOP rate. Now VM2 wants high IOP rate, it will give the high IOP rate to it. So automatically the available IOP rate will be shared among all the VMs that are launched on the physical box under this general purpose volume SSD type. What if some customer says, hey, I need a fixed IOP rate and I don't want to share that fixed IOP rate with anyone. I need it only for me. Yeah, and the provision IOP rate, you can specify the IOP rate value that you require. Assume that I required 3000 IOP rate. Yeah, if you specify it, now this hypervisor or Amazon will, on SSD volume, it will provide this 3000 IOP rate only for your instances or for that particular volume that you are creating, and you'll attach that volume to the instances, right? This is what the difference between general purpose volume and its provision of IOPS rate. That's the reason you can see here the name itself says provisioned IOPS rate. It means that customer has to provide some IOP rate according to his requirement. Here general purpose volumes, under general purpose volume, hypervisor will take care of, depending upon the VM's requirement on that physical box, it will automatically provide the IOP rates, available IOP rates. Dynamically it will share with all the available VMs. Okay, and once again repeating, today's topic we are discussing is EBS, elastic block storage. Elastic block storage is a volume, okay, that we attach to our EC2 instances. Under EBS, there are three types of volumes: magnetic volume, general purpose volume, and provisioned IOPS volume. Magnetic volumes are normal hard disk drives, okay, the spin hard disk that are attached to your servers on Amazon data center. When you choose general purpose volumes, it is the SSD volumes, but the IOP rate will be shared automatically by all that VMs on the physical server. When you go for provisioned IOP rate, the third volume type, under that you can specifically provision your required IOP rate. This is what the difference. Okay, we mostly use SSD volumes for database servers because the IOP rate is very fast and it is very price is very high when compared with normal magnetic volume. Let us see the pricing. When you search EBS, okay, pricing, https aws.amazon.com/ebs/pricing. Amazon pricing is different on different regions. If I choose Mumbai now, okay, for general purpose volumes, Amazon is charging 0.01 sorry 0.114 per GB of provision storage per month. Okay, if you launch 1 GB of SSD storage for entire month, he'll charging you $0.114. If you go for provisioned, it is little bit higher, see 0.131, because specifically you are provisioning the operate. Okay, now when it comes to normal hard disk HDD, it is very cheap, 0.051. Magnetic hard disk, it is a spin hard disk. Okay, any doubts on this topic, guys? Okay, going forward, we have launched an EC2 instance. We have seen that. Okay, for that EC2 instance, we have attached a volume, I mean EBS volume as a storage. Okay, assume that this is EC2 instance. Now everything is running good and I am using EC2 instance for some long duration like 1 month or 15 days or whatever it is. Now I found that my EC2 instance utilization is going high. Utilization in sense either it is CPU performance or RAM or memory. Okay, or hard disk spin rate or network in or out traffic flow. How can you see that? You can monitor your EC2 instances performance by using a service of our CloudWatch of our AWS called CloudWatch. There is a AWS service called CloudWatch. With the help of this CloudWatch service, you can monitor the utilization of EC2 instances. For doing this, while creating the instance, you have to enable this CloudWatch on that instance. Or after creating the instance also, you can enable the CloudWatch service on that particular instance for the instance which you want to monitor. Okay, we'll talk about this CloudWatch service on tomorrow's class. Now, talking much about this EC2 instance, I want to talk about one topic called auto-scaling. Auto-scaling, there are two types of auto-scaling. One is horizontal scaling. Second is vertical scaling. What is horizontal scaling? Talking much about horizontal scaling. Assume that, guys, we'll talk about one scenario. Assume that you have one server, EC2 instance. On that EC2 instance, you have hosted some website. And you are serving this website to the clients. And you're serving this website to the clients. Now, after 1 year or 6 months, you observe that your utilization of your instance is reaching maximum level. The utilization of the instance is reaching maximum level. Now, what do you do? Any suggestions?
Yeah, Karthik, you need to increase the resources, like
Okay.
the compute resources, CPU and RAM.
Yes. How do you do that? One is by changing the instance type. Okay, you have to change the instance type to either, like assume that you have t2.micro, you can change it to t2.small or large, okay, or x large, double x large. Now that's good. If you have changed that, for changing the instance type, you have to shut down your instance. You have to power off the instance and then only you can change the instance type. If you power off the instance type, what happens? Your entire website will go down. Your clients will cannot reach your website. Okay, that is a loss for your business. Assume that this is some banking website. You cannot power off that website, right? Is there any alternative way? I don't want to
Yeah,
power off my
Karthik.
instance, but I want to change my size
Yeah,
of resource of that instance. Yes, Aditya.
Karthik, as we have in VMware, if we have the hot plug or hot add enabled, then we can increase resources on the fly. Or if that is not enabled, then we can take some downtime and just increase the compute resources. Uh,
I
I'm
don't
not
want
sure
any
whether that is.
downtime. I don't want any downtime, but I want to increase my instance. I want to. How do we do that? Yes, that.
Maybe create cluster.
Okay.
So so you can create two similar instances and use a load balancer to route the traffic, and you can shut down one and the other one will handle the traffic.
Yes. Exactly. Here, what Dattu is saying is, we can introduce a load balancer between the clients and the instances. ELB. ELB stands for Elastic Load Balancer. Okay. And what you can do, you can divide pass the traffic via elastic load balancers to your instance. Okay. Now you can create another instance with same website, and you can divide the traffic into multiple instances, like 50% traffic goes to first instance and the 50% traffic goes to the second instance. The purpose of elastic load balancer is to divide the incoming load, divide the incoming traffic into multiple instances. That is what ELB is used for. Okay. Now, what you can do is the other way, as Zatu said, okay, I have created and introduced an elastic load balancer in between my clients and website, and I have divided the incoming traffic, and I have launched another instance, and I redirected. After launching the another instances, I have slowly redirected all my traffic to the second server, and then first server I'll power off. Okay, and I'll make sure that this second server is high resource server when compared with the first server. That is good. That is one way. Now, okay, you launched an high resource, like assume that this is something T2 dot medium, and you have changed it to, okay, T2 dot large. Now what if you destroy this? Now what if people started utilizing your website in very slow. Assume that, see, when we talk about the Flipkart or Amazon.com or whatever the big e-commerce websites, the people, they'll not use 24 hours continuously the same traffic. You'll not find the same traffic all over the day. Okay, in midnights, most of the people will sleep. They don't browse your website, right? Now, if people are not using my website on the midnights, okay, the traffic is very slow, then why I need to power on such a very huge server T2 dot large even for night all over 24 hours per day? It means that you're wasting your resource, boss. See, the CPU utilization may be high only on mornings or evenings, and it is very low on afternoons and nights because people don't much use the website. They don't browse your e-commerce website on afternoons. They'll be busy with their work. On midnights, they'll sleep. Then why I have to power on the server big size for 24 hours? You're wasting your resources, right? So what we can do is there is a concept called auto scaling. Okay, that we are talking about. Okay, on this auto scaling, talking about horizontal scaling, what you can do is you can create a auto scaling group. Okay, while creating a auto scaling group, you have to specify an AMI image for your auto scaling group. You have to specify an AMI image for your auto scaling group. Under that AMI image, make sure that AMI image consists of bootable operating system and your website along in that, and your website along in that image only. So from that AMI image, this auto scaling group will launch an instance. Okay, you have to say for auto scaling group, hey auto scaling group, always in this group maintain at least minimum 2 instances and increase a maximum to 10 instances. You have to define the minimum and maximum instance range for your auto scaling group. If you say define 2, what it will do, auto scaling group from the AMI image, it will launch the 2 instances, and it will always run these instances in that auto scaling group. Now there you will be having the elastic load balancer that will be attached to your auto scaling group. It means that this elastic load balancer automatically recognize these instances and it will divide the traffic into these 2 instances. Now this elastic load balancer, apart from, what's the job of elastic load balancer? To send the traffic, incoming traffic, to multiple instances, to divide the incoming traffic to multiple instances, right? Apart from doing that, elastic load balancer will also does the another one job. What is that another one job is? It will monitor the utilization of your entire instances group. It will monitor the utilization of auto scaling group. Auto scaling group, not one instance. It will monitor the utilization of entire auto scaling group. Assume that this auto scaling group CPU utilization, it will take a average CPU utilization of instance 1 and instance 2 and it will give the CPU utilization as an auto scaling group. Now whenever you can define a threshold for this elastic load balancer monitoring such a way that, hey elastic load balancer, okay, whenever the auto scaling overall CPU utilization crosses more than 60%, you inform that to auto scaling group. Now it will inform the auto scaling group, hey auto scaling group, your CPU utilization has crossed more than 60%. there are a lot of incoming traffic is occurring, so automatically your utilization is increasing. 60% is crossed. Then auto scaling group, what it will do, it will launch another instance. Like that, maximum it can launch 10 instances, because while creating the auto scaling group I have said that minimum 2 instances required and maximum you can launch 10 instances. What? The instances should be of same type, instance type. If I say t2.medium, it will launch all the instances only of t2.medium from that same AMI image consisting of same website. And also you can define another rule saying that, hey, auto scaling group, whenever my CPU utilization reaches less than 40% of entire auto scaling group, you terminate instance. So it will start terminating one by one instance. First it will terminate one instance and it will see the CPU utilization is less than 40%. Okay. So yeah, greater than 40%. Okay. Again, after some time it will found CPU utilization is less than again 40%. It will terminate the another instance. Okay. On the back end, Elastic Load Balancer will communicate with CloudWatch. CloudWatch will be monitoring this auto scaling group. From that CloudWatch, it will take the report and it will say to auto scaling group, hey, auto scaling group, when you need to maximize your instance in your auto scaling group or minimize your instances on your auto scaling group. This is how you can divide the incoming traffic depending upon your utilization. On the evenings, if people are hitting more traffic, when more traffic hits, what happens? Automatically the utilization of your resources goes high. If it goes high, the entire auto scaling group utilization also will grow high. If it goes high, then CloudWatch will say, okay, you're crossing 60%. This is what the threshold defined by us. You can define it is 60% or 80% is up. It is up to your choice. We call it as threshold values. TRESHOLD, threshold value. Depending upon the threshold value defined by us, okay, the auto scaling group will minimize and maximize the instances in it. So any doubts on this topic, guys? So here you can see that instances are increasing horizontally. That's the reason we are calling it as horizontal scaling. Okay. So any doubts on this topic, guys?
No, bro.
What about others?
No, Karthik, fine.
Okay. What about you, Abhishek? Is that good? Hello, Abhishek, are you there? What about you, Raj, Shankar, and Srinivas? Do you have any doubts? You can ask me.
Okay, Karthik, it's good.
Okay. Again, once again, I am just wanted to remind myself as well as for you. Basic. The purpose of elastic load balancer is to divide the incoming traffic into multiple instances. That's done. The purpose of auto scaling group is to scale the instances size depending upon the utilization of your uh, utilization report. Now on auto scaling, there are two types of scaling: horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. When you go with vertical scaling, there would be a downtime. You have to power off that instance. See, here that when we talk about vertical scaling, you'll be having only one instance clients. Here no required elastic load balancer is not required. Directly clients will hit to your instance. Now The only one way you can do is you can change the instance type. Whenever you observe instance type is increasing, you can change the instance type. But here, every time you need downtime for changing the instance type. You have to power off the instance, change the instance type, and you have to power on it. I told you, right, for every EC2 instance, along instance means nothing but combination of virtual CPU and memory. And for that, you'll have volume. What you can do is you can change the instance. You can keep the same volume and you can change the instance. Where is every operating system? Everything is on the volume only, right? Just change the instance type. For doing that, you have to power off and change the instance type and you have to power on. There is a downtime. If you don't want downtime, we say, hey, go with horizontal scaling. On horizontal auto scaling, you have to create a auto scaling group.
Bro, one
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
When threshold value is low, we will terminate the instances, right?
Yes.
Should we pay for that also? Actually, Amazon is providing hourly basis, right? That's it.
Yeah. Amazon will give you on hour basis for each and every instance that you launch. Assume that if you launch this instance for 10 hours, he'll charge you for 10 hours. This is for 10 hours, he'll charge you for 10 hours. This is for just 1 hour, he'll charge you for 1 hour. If you run this instance at least for 2 minutes, also he will charge you for 1 hour. Or 59 minutes, also he'll charge you for 1 hour. Okay? But here, while defining threshold, you can say that how long you can define the threshold. So let me see.
Karthik, I have another question.
Just let me address his question and then I'll address yours. Okay. Assume that this is one instance and you're talking about CPU utilization versus time. Sorry, here it is CPU utilization and this is time. X-axis is time and y-axis is CPU utilization. Now your CPU utilization is increasing and it is decreasing, and again it is increasing, and it has reached to maximum level. You can define a threshold. Whenever my CPU utilization crosses more than 80%, add one more instance to my autoscaling group. Whenever it reduces less than 40%, terminate one instances. Okay, that you have added recently. Okay, this is what the threshold value you are designing it for your autoscaling group. Now, it is not like if your graph crosses more than 80%, okay, automatically it will launch one new instance. Here you have to specify the time range. After crossing 80%, how long you have to wait for launching a new instance? Here you can specify that. Wait for 10 minutes. Observe for 10 minutes. If for 10 minutes the traffic is more than 80%, if for the 10 minutes, if the CPU utilization is more than 80%, then you launch one instance. Okay, and after going down, again you can define 10 minutes. We call it as observation time. Okay, if your utilization of CPU on entire autoscaling group is less than 40% for 10 minutes, then you terminate that one instance that you have launched previously. Okay, we call it as observation time. For every adding or reducing instances on the autoscaling group, you'll have the observation time that you'll be defined while creating the autoscaling group. I'll show you. Don't worry. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay, bro.
Yeah. Yes, Adike.
Yeah, Karthik, actually, to leverage for auto scaling group, so are there any additional charges for that, or because here we're talking about vertical and horizontal scaling. So I think to avoid downturn, everyone will prefer horizontal scaling only. So do we need to pay extra for this?
No, not at all. For creating a auto scaling group, okay, for defining these thresholds, okay, Amazon is not charging anything. But for the instances that you are launching in the auto scaling group, okay, for that only Amazon is charging. When you
Okay,
see
yeah, got it.
AWS auto scaling pricing, auto scaling is enabled by Amazon CloudWatch and carries no additional fee. Okay, he will charge only Amazon EC2 instances and the CloudWatch that you enable on the EC2 instances, right? For that, Amazon will charge. There is no charge for auto scaling, creating auto scaling group, nothing. Amazon is offering it for free. Now we'll see how do we create auto scaling group and how do we launch this auto scaling groups. Before doing that, digging deeper, I just wanted to explain one more scenario to you guys. Talking about AMI images, Amazon machine images. Okay, I told you that while launching an EC2 instance, first time you have to choose AMI image from where Amazon market or Amazon community market, community free. Okay, the other way is what we can do is my stylus pen is not working. Guys, just give me 1 minute. I think my batteries in my stylus pad has been dead. Just let me replace that. Okay, now on EC2 instance, you choose AMI image from this above anyone and you create instance. For that instance, you'll have the volume, right? Now, what you can do is after creating the instance, you start using the instance, right? For 1 week or 10 days. So in the meantime, what you do, you upload all the data into your volumes. You add data on the volumes. Okay. On C, D, E drives, you add data. Now, what you can do, you can create a snapshot of that volume of that instance. From that snapshot, you can create again a AMI image of that snapshot. We call this whatever the AMI image that you created of your running EC2 instances, we call that AMI image as private AMI images that is created by you. Those AMIs can be found under my AMI. See here, when you go to EC2, when you click launch instance, here my AMIs, if you have any private AMI image that is created by here, you can find it. Okay, now I told you on the scenario here, Autoscaling group will launch EC2 instances from AMI image. This AMI images, first you have what you have to do is you have to create one instance. Okay, first you have to create one instance from the AMI image consisting of base operating system, like assume that only Linux or Windows. On that you will install all your softwares or web server and the website. You'll keep all everything, and then you'll take the snapshot of that volume of that instance. From the snapshot you'll create an AMI image. From that AMI image you'll add that AMI image that you have created with all your website for your auto scaling group. You got me, guys? Okay, you have to custom build your AMI images before adding that to auto scaling group, because that AMI image should consist of all the website, everything. Now let us see how do we do this. Launch instance. First I'll choose any one AMI image. What I'll do is I'll launch Linux AMI image from community AMI or marketplace. I'll go to marketplace. I want to launch CentOS. So I'll scroll down, and from here I can see all the operating systems. 177 products. From here I'll search for CentOS. Yeah, here you can find CentOS 7 and CentOS 6. I'll launch the latest version, CentOS 7. Select. Second step, yeah, continue. Second step, choose instance type. I launch just t2.micro because Amazon will not charge for me. Third step, how many instances you want to launch? Just one. In which VPC? Default VPC I'll launch. In which availability zone? 1A. In which subnet? Sorry, do you want to assign public IP? Yes, I want to assign public IP for that because I have to access it from my home. Now, shutdown behavior. What is this shutdown behavior is? If you keep here stop, when you shut down that instance, it will just power off. If you keep here terminate, when you shut down that instance, the entire instance will terminate. It will entirely gone. You cannot again power on or recover that instance. So always keep this stop. Just power off. Later you can power on. So what happens? Somebody while using that server, they'll execute some command like power off, shut down. Then it has to only shut down, not the terminate. Next, enable termination protection. What is this? Nothing but some people, excuse me, some people what they do unknowingly, sometimes they delete the instance. They'll go to EC2 console, okay, and they'll delete that instance. Right click and delete. Sometimes, in order to escape from this accidental termination of the instance, what we can do, you can enable this accidental termination protection. So what happens when they right click and say delete, the instance will not delete. It will say, hey boss, for my instance, there is accidental termination protection enabled. First you disable that protection and then you terminate me. It's like a second layer protection that you are giving for your instance. Now he will say, okay, I'm doing something wrong. I don't want to delete this. Accidentally I'm deleting. Oh no, मैं बच गया बोल के. This you can do. This is like next monitoring. I told you want to enable the CloudWatch monitoring, in detailed CloudWatch monitoring on the EC2 instance. Yes, if you click here, now Amazon will enable the in detailed CloudWatch monitoring. Guys, by default, Amazon will give you the monitoring of EC2 instances, but to some extent, it will give you just CPU utilization, network in and outflow utilization, That's it. If you enable the cloud watch, Amazon, apart from that, it will monitor the memory utilization, okay, number of users logged in, everything, the hard disk utilization, everything Amazon will monitor if you enable. But for this, Amazon will charge some additional cost. This is, if you want, you can just click on that. Now coming to tenancy, here two types of shared and dedicated. If you say dedicated, Amazon will launch a physical box in its data center, an entire physical server for you. If you say shared, out of this very big servers, he will launch a VM and he will give that for you. Always go for shared. Dedicated, the cost will be very high. Okay, when you are dealing some applications, banking applications, you don't want to share that with other people, then you can go for dedicated. Here it does not mean that data will be shared with other people. If you are concerned about much more data, it's your banking application where you'll have all that information of your banks on that server. Yeah, boss, you can go for dedicated. Next, second step, configure instances. Under configure instances, what we have done, how many instances we are launching, in which VPC, which subnet, enable IP address, public IP, okay, termination protection enabled, monitoring you want to enable or not, or shared or dedicated. That's it. Next, add storage, the fourth step. How much hard disk you want to attach, volume. Assume that I want to just, for Linux, at least 8 GB of hard disk is enough for running. Now I'll change it to 20 GB. Now here you can see that volume types, magnetic, general purpose, provision. I told you, right? Magnetic is the cheapest volume. It's normal hard disk. If you don't want that, you can go with general purpose. See how in general purpose, when you select this, out of 3000 IOPS, Amazon is providing you 100 IOPS on general purpose. So, and it means that by default, your VM will have, your instance will have 100 IOPS. But if your VM required, it can increase to maximum 3000 IOP rate. If there is a high load on your hard disk, you're writing something very fast, reading something, it can automatically increase to out to 3000. That's what he's saying. Baseline of 3 IOPS per GB with a minimum of 100 IOPS, but it can be burstable to 3000 IOPS if required. When you go with provisioned IOPS, here you have to specify your IOP rate. If you want 2000, yeah, you can specify 2000. Okay, depending upon IOP rate, Amazon will charge you. Now in this scenario, I'll just go with magnetic, the base one. Now here, delete on termination means if you delete your instance, do you want to automatically delete this storage also? If yes, check mark here. So whenever you delete the instance, the storage also will get deleted. If you know, here if you don't check mark, when you delete the instance, just only that instance type is deleted, not that real volume. Always I prefer don't check mark it. Okay, if you want to attach another volume, yeah, you can attach. Next, tags. Tags are nothing, I told you, it's like stickers. Name, my first instance. Next, security group. It's an extra layer of firewall. So yesterday I created one security group, right? I'll select that only. What is that security group I created yesterday? This is what my web server. Under that I have only one rule, RDP. I am opening incoming traffic to everyone to make RDP, remote sessions. Now as this I am launching now Linux machine. For Linux, remote session works on SSH, right? I'll add the security group. See, you will not be able to connect to this instance as the AMI requires port number 22 open. But here it is a 3389. Okay, no problem. Continue. Later on I'll change it. Or from here I can change. I can add one more group rule. Okay, later on I can add. Launch. So key pair. So yesterday I have launched one key pair, right? What is that? My first 13. I'll select that only. Now I am launching instance. Here you can see it is still pending. It is powering on. It is launching. Now on this instance I'll connect and I'll install all my websites and everything. Now I'll go to this instance security group. How do you go? Just scroll right side, you can find this is what the security group attached to that instance, my web server. Click on that. Now you have changed the inbound, add one more rule, SSH to whom, everyone. Now I can connect to that instance. What is this instance IP address? This is a Linux instance, right? How do you connect to Linux instance? By using a software called Putty. So what is the IP address of that instance? 13.127.48.176. This is the IP address. And what is the username and password?
You typed wrong, bro. 127.
Okay. Here you have to select that. Go to SSH, go to auth, and you have to select that key. Click on the auth and you have to select here key. But by default, Putty does not support the .pem keys. It only supports the .ppk key. So whatever the key you have downloaded yesterday, this is .pem format. Putty does not understand .pem format. It only understands .ppk format. So I have to change this key from PEM to PPK. For doing that, I have a software called PuttyGen. P-U-T-T-Y PuttyGen. By using this PuttyGen software, I can change the PPM format to PPK. First, I have to load that PEM. Load. Go to downloads. Load that PEM. Change it to all types because it is showing only PPK. All types show. Where is that key? My first 13. Okay, open it. Now the key is imported successfully. Successfully imported that key. Now just click on save private key. Do you want to without yes? and name that as same my first 33. Just leave it to type ppk, save. Now you can see on the downloads it has created another ppk formatted key. Now this key can be recognized by my putty software. Select, go to downloads. Where is that? Here it is, my first 33. Open and then open. Yeah. Now always use the root user as root. When you enter, it is saying that, hey, use the username as CentOS rather than root. Okay. Right click, open new session, new terminal. Okay. 13.127.48.176. He said to use the user as CentOS. I forgot to load the key. Now I am connected to that instance. Okay, now I am in the instance. Now this is a command to update all the packages. Yum update on the instance. You need to be root. Okay. For calling root, you have to specify sudo yum update. Now it is updating all the packages on the Linux machine. On Linux machine, each software we call it as packages. Yes. Guys, how many are you are familiar with Linux and how many of you are not? Okay, whoever never worked on Linux, okay, whoever never worked on Linux, just inform me.
Me also, bro.
You never worked on Linux, Nagaraj?
No, bro.
You worked, okay. And Raj, any idea on Linux, how to operate that?
Yes, I am actually working on Linux.
Okay. What about others?
For me, I have knowledge, but I have never worked on Linux.
Okay, what about you, Srinivas? Srinivas messaged me on chat, not. Okay. Then what I'll do is, tomorrow I'll take one Linux class for these people. From the day after tomorrow on, I'll continue this class. Okay. So tomorrow I'll be teaching some basic Linux commands. Okay. What exactly is Linux? What are the flavors of Linux? If people you are interested, who are already working, you can join or you can skip the class. It's up to you. And for day after tomorrow on, we'll be seeing how do we create this instance. What I want to show is we have connected to the Linux instance, right? I want to install a web server on that Linux instance, and I have to deploy one sample website. Okay, and I'll create a AMI image from that, and I'll launch an auto scaling group that we talked. I want to show it, but we are out of time. It's already been 9. Okay, so I'll do this on tomorrow. For time being, what I'll do is I'll just power off this instance. From here I can power off, and the other way I can power off is from that console. I can type in command shutdown -h now. That's it. Connections are closed. Now instance will be in power off mode. Stopping. Okay. We'll continue this class day after tomorrow, not tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be teaching only Linux basics. Is that okay, guys?
Okay, Karthik.
Okay. Thank you for today, and we'll meet up tomorrow. Bye bye.
Yo, bye bye.